Deep underground in an undisclosed location, Tread Comics presents ThunderCats. ThunderCats is an American animated television series that was produced by Rankin Bass Animated Entertainment and Leisure Concepts, debuting on 1985, based on the characters created by Ted Tobin Wolfe. The series, for which Leonard Starr was the head writer, follows the adventures of a group of cat-like humanoid aliens. The animation for the episodes was provided by the Japanese studio Pacific Animation Corporation. The studio was acquired in 1989 to form Walt Disney Animation Japan. Season 1 of the show aired in 1985, consisting of 65 episodes, followed by a TV movie entitled ThunderCats Ho! In 1986. Seasons 2, 3, and 4 each contain 20 episodes, starting with a 5-part story. The series was originally distributed by Rankin Bass Productions, then parent company Telepictures Corporation, which would later merge with Lorimar Productions in 1986. In 1989, Lorimar Televisions was purchased and folded into Warner Brothers, whose television syndicate arm would eventually assume distribution of the show. Warner Brothers has all the rights to the series and all Lorimar Telepictures programming from that point on. Leisure Concepts, which helped co-develop the show, acted as a licensing agent for the series. ThunderCats follows the adventures of the team of heroes, cat-like humanoid aliens, on a planet called Third Earth. The series' plot begins with the dying planet ThundereA meeting its end, forcing the ThunderCats to flee their home world. The fleet is attacked by the Thundereans' enemies, the Mutants of Plun-Darr, who destroy most of the starships in the ThunderFleet, but spare the flagship, hoping to capture the legendary mystical Sword of Omens they believe is on board. The sword holds the Eye of Thundera, the source of the ThunderCats' power, which is embedded in the hilt. Though the mutants damage the flagship, the power of the Eye drives them back. The damage to the ship means the journey to their original destination is not possible, instead having to journey to Third Earth, which will take much longer than they had anticipated. The eldest of the ThunderCats, Jaga, volunteers to pilot the ship while the others sleep in capsules. However, he dies of old age in the process, but not before ensuring they will reach their destination safely. The flagship contains the young lord of the ThunderCats, Lino, as well as the ThunderCats Cheetara, Panthro, Tygra, WilyKat, WilyKit, and Snarf. When the ThunderCats awaken from their suspended animation on Third Earth, after 10 galacto years, Lino discovers that his suspension capsule has slowed rather than stopped his aging. He has now become essentially a child in the body of an adult. Together, the ThunderCats and the friendly natives of Third Earth construct the Cat's Lair, their new home and headquarters. But before long, the mutants have tracked them down to Third Earth. The intrusion of these two alien races upon the world does not go unnoticed, however, as a dynamic, mummified sorcerer calling himself Mumra recruits the mutants to aid him in his campaign to acquire the Eye of Thundera and destroy the ThunderCats, so that his evil may continue to hold sway upon Third Earth. The basic plot of Season 1 holds strong for the first season of the show, and served as a basis for a vast array of stories that freely mixed elements of science fiction and fantasy into a traditional good versus evil tale that steadily introduced more and more reoccurring allies and villains into the world of the ThunderCats. futuristic technology is just as central to the series as magic and myth. But even in the midst of all this action, this series never underemphasizes the importance of moral values in problem solving. Each episode would normally include a short denouement featuring the characters recuperating after the events of the story and taking the time to single out a personal value or wholesome approach that helped save the day or could have done so if they had seen it. The first half of Season 1 featured a gentle continuity with the early episodes following on from one another and establishing reoccurring concepts. Although this became less common as the season transitioned into its second half, which comprised mostly incidental one-shot adventures. Tying the second half of the Season 1 together was the first overarching 5-part adventure written by series head writer Leonard Starr. Lino's appointment, in which an unarmed Lino faces off against the first each of the ThunderCats and then Mumm-Ra so he could truly earn his title as Lord of the ThunderCats. The 5 parts were: Day 1, the Trial of Strength. Lino has to do it out with Panthro in a strength contest. Day 2, the Trial of Speed. Lino had to beat Cheetara in a race. Day 3, the Trial of Cunning. Lino had to outwit both the Thunderkittens, WilyKat and WilyKit. Day 4, the Trial of Mind Power. Lino was pitted against Tygra in a mind-based challenge. And finally, last day, the Trial of Evil. Lino had to defeat Mumm-Ra. In his Trial of Evil, Lino discovered that Mumm-Ra was highly dependent on the esophagus inside which he had been mummified. On all 4 days except for the last, the mutants tried to interfere with Lino's trials so they could force the ThunderCats to remain leaderless. The other ThunderCats were each then forced to involve themselves in the conflict, specifically to foil the mutants' interference, all while trying to avoid assisting Lino in his anointment tasks. The 1986 TV movie ThunderCats Ho! featured the first major shakeup to the status quo of the series, introducing 3 new Thundereans, whom Lino would later anoint as ThunderCats, who had also survived the destruction of thun-DAIR-ə. A massive cast of returning heroes and villains were incorporated into the story and concluded with the apparent destruction of Mumm-Ra. When the series returned in 1987, it was revealed that the evil wizard Mumm-Ra had survived ThunderCats Ho! And its follow-up, Mumm-Ra Lives, set the pattern for the following 3 seasons, each of which began with a 5-part miniseries, again written by Leonard Starr, that established the new characters and concepts that would go on to influence the rest of the season. In the case of Mumm-Ra Lives, these concepts included the debut of the villainous Lunatics, which became a 3rd faction that existed for the rest of the series, and the new team of ThunderCats from ThunderCats Ho! Receiving their own headquarters and vehicles. The 1988 season began with Peter Lawrence scripted Thunder Cubs, which, though named for its plot about the ThunderCats being transformed into children, was principally about Mumm-Ra reconstructing thun-DAIR-ə in order to revive both the weapon that had originally destroyed it, the Sword of Plun-Darr, and the legendary treasure of thun-DAIR-ə. In the course of the adventure, the treasure, containing the Book of Omens, a tomb holding all the secrets of the ThunderCats, and many other mystical items, was scattered across New ThundereA, ushering a new concept for the series. A season with an actual story arc. Continuity between the episodes became tighter as the ThunderCats, Mutants, Lunatics, and Mumm-Ra alternated their adventures between Third Earth and New ThundereA, searching for their treasure and exploiting its power. This season also featured the running theme of the ancient spirits of evil having to take more of an active hand in pushing Mumm-Ra into action, culminating in another unique feature of the season, an actual final episode, The Last Day, in which the ancient spirits of evil give Mumm-Ra one last chance to destroy the ThunderCats by sunset. Besides demonstrating their threat by making Mamut disappear, the ancient spirits of evil stated that Mumm-Ra's failure will also have the mutants and the lunatics removed from Third Earth as well. Ultimately, Mumm-Ra failed, and the ancient spirits of evil exiled him to the farthest corners of the universe. During the final season of ThunderCats, Peter Lawrence's return to ThundereA, the ThunderCats returned to New ThundereA to rebuild their society. But before departing, they destroyed Mumm-Ra's pyramid. This enraged the ancient spirits of evil to the point that they brought back Mumm-Ra and installed him within a new pyramid on New ThundereA. This season proved to be quite divorced from what had gone on before, with the adventures consigned almost entirely to that of New ThundereA, and most villainous opposition coming from either Mumm-Ra or assorted new villains. The mutants, lunatics, and Captain Cracker all returned for one episode each. However, in the series finale, several conclusions are reached. Mumm-Ra stands up to and successfully asserts himself over the ancient spirits of evil. The mystery of the Book of Omens is at last solved, and the terrifying environment of ThundereA is at last rendered peaceful and pristine.